Dey for town hall the time dem come. See people wey dem dey come enter for town hall. From that time now dem we ask dem wetin dem come for. Dem dey find oil for ground. We say before dem enter our bush dem go pay money for us. Dem say if dem see oil na im we go settle anything. From there now elder people dey gree make dem find am.
4 years before Nigeria gained her independence, oil prospecting activities began in the Niger Delta. The black, thick, liquid substance, now referred to as the black gold, was discovered in commercial quantity in the region in 1956. One of the major oil-bearing territories is Ogoniland, an area of about 1,000 square kilometers in land mass, rich in natural resources, and occupied by about 1 million people.
Dem see oil. Dem no talk anything for dem until dem see oil there. Dem go another side. Dem no talk say dem don see oil for us. Dem no settle anything again. Only for make location here. When dem see oil, dem go to another side, go make location. So location.
The Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, in collaboration with the British government, started oil prospecting operations in Ogoniland in 1958, drilling a total of 96 wells. 34 years later, by the end of 1992, Shell was producing 28,000 barrels of oil per day from the 9 oil fields in Ogoniland, about 3% of the company's total production in Nigeria. Unfortunately, over a period of 15 years, it has been recorded that nearly 3,000 oil spills occurred in Ogoniland between 1976 and 1991. This translates to about 2.1 million barrels of oil, or 40% of the total number of oil spills for which Shell was responsible across the entire world. There were about 7,000 oil spills between 1970 and 2000. The Nigerian Oil Spill Monitor again recorded some 5,296 oil spills between January 2005 and July 2014. As of 2010, Royal Dutch Shell admitted to have spilled about 100,000 barrels of oil, which was majorly across the oil-rich Ogoni, made up of a total of 18 communities and 4 local government areas. Over 50 years of oil production in Ogoniland, many oil-bearing communities have been at the receiving end of the activities of the multinational oil companies. Their lands and waters have been polluted as a result of oil spills.
This community inhabits over 15,000 people. Everybody is in the diaspora. We are environmental refugees. Because of disaster that has taken place here, this place could no longer inhabit human beings unless you want to die.
This is an express route. People from different countries pass through this. You can pass here to Cameroon. You can pass here to Port Harcourt to Lagos, to other places. So what I'm telling you is that this is an express route. Our market is not functioning now. There was market here, shops were here, people buy goods from Cameroon, and then this is their stopping point. So in fact, this community have even been very rich than some of the other community inside the city there. If this thing continues like this in the next 5 years, even the few who are living here that will come to see us here, if we go more than this, I don't even, all these buildings you see here will even collapse. We will now look as a living thing. You will look for where that is favorable for you to breed.
Faced with massive environmental degradation and destruction of the livelihood of the people, the Movement for the Survival of Ogoni People, MOSOP, under the leadership of Ken Saro-Wiwa, began agitation for better deals for its people. They contend that multinational oil companies, particularly the Shell Petroleum Development Company, with the active cooperation of the Nigerian government, have ravaged their land and contaminated their rivers, while providing little or no benefit in return. Security forces allegedly embarked on a series of punitive raids on Ogoni villages, characterized by alleged flagrant human rights abuses. This culminated in the extrajudicial executions of Ken Saro-Wiwa and his 9 compatriots. But it drew global attention to the plight of Ogoni people. Oil production activities were suspended, and the oil company abandoned the communities wallowing in the devastation of their environment. The Ogoni people are predominantly farmers and fisherfolks, but the high levels of air and groundwater pollution have led to reduced yields from farming and fishing activities.
My parents have tried a lot to find work, but because of the things that happen now, my parents cannot afford to pay my school fees. They are hoping in God to help us with our school fees. You know, God provide a way where there seems to be no way, so we are waiting for someone to help us out.
I'm a farmer. I have 4 children. Before the oil spill come, the farm, where we farm, sometimes if it is okra, you can do the okra, we can get 4 or 5 basins from one plot of land. But now, before we get one, you will try before you get one. You can see the cassava now. But before we used to train our children with cassava, but look at it now. And this is all the farm. Oh, see the empty bags that we carry. We're supposed to uproot cassava and put it inside, but there's no cassava to put inside the bags. We planted it on is a year and 2 months.
All of a sudden, we started hearing of oil spill. We do not have the understanding. You will plant, you will put more effort, you will use fertilizer. You apply all the methods you learned from your parents, all the ones you learned as you grow up, and nothing is working again for us. Nothing is working again, and this is the main source of income as far as my family is concerned, and other families in this village.
Let me say they are in school, but because of school fees, they are home now. Look at them. They send them home because of school fees. One is for junior WAEC, the other one is SS1. And I don't have money for them now. I said they should wait. Books and the registration of the JS3, I think it's 31,000. Then one is in university. He is at home doing nothing when he's met at in school.
Sources of incomes adversely affected and their children and youths left without a future.
My greatest concern about them for years now is how to feed them, let them survive. Feed that. Feed that. it's not been easy. But like I said, as a man, what do I have to do? Those are things that make a man. Endurance, particularly when you were brought up in a Christian home, in a family that you have to live by some level of morality. That's how we are guided. We are guided by morality. Morality. Don't follow any bad people. Don't go after anything. Live your life. God will give it to you. God will give it to you. That's the way we live.
There was rising poverty, extreme hunger and ailments as a result of hydrocarbon pollution. The combination of these has pushed many young Ogonis to seek sustainable livelihood away from home.
I stay at the village, but I'm doing nothing. Nothing is at the village. So I came to find anything I can do in Port Harcourt. In the village, we were farming, but nowhere to farm. Even in the village, some places are with water and some kind oil in the village. So I just come to find anything I can do to help myself. Even labor's work, bricklayer work that was in everywhere is not in my community, it's not in the village. So that's why I came to Port Harcourt to find even if a gradual work to do.
It becomes a daily occurrence, witnessing increased migration of many Ogonis who leave their villages in search of greener pastures or other means of livelihood in the city. Many run into problems as they turned environmental refugees in their country.
Me, I don't have where to stay, but I believe God that created me. Anywhere I see a malice, call myself, then in the morning I search for where they are working, that I can do work. If night has covered them, I look for open church to sleep. Although Ogoni people has what will make them become something.
Aside those that seek menial jobs, others are forced into selling their bodies to take care of themselves and also send financial help to their families.
Things were okay before. My mother was a petty trader, but I really needed to support my mother and my siblings. Just staying with them and seeing the way things are going and the suffering. So I decided to come to Port Harcourt to hustle small now.
It's true that most young people try to make ends meet in the other way, we tag the easy way, maybe through their body or any other illegal means. That is also true, maybe because of the struggle they are facing. But there are still some persons who believe in dignity of labor. With their skills, with their education, they try to use that and incorporate that to make ends meet for themselves.
The land is not always greener, but you, when we did the other side, you will feel say, okay, well, things are always better here. Nothing, even if I do sales girl, nothing was really coming out of it and everything.
It's not an easy decision to make, to leave your home, your hometown, the place you grew up. And it's really challenging, I would say, because you come from the village to the city with little or nothing with you, but you try to strive to make ends meet in a legal way. It's not easy at all.
Oil pollution has posed serious health challenges. Many people suffer from strange diseases. Spillages have also made crude oil easily accessible to residents of communities in Ogoni land, where there is an ongoing lethal practice of drinking crude oil to cure diseases.
I get cough. I get malaria and typhoid. And any water there for my village, crude oil dey inside. I love am because of na oil. Put them for my hand, rub in my body.
If some children have convulsion, we use onions, mix with onions and rub them. Nose, their legs, their palms, all over their body. It works, and we also drink it too. We drink it because of the convulsion, to remove all those things. So we don't mix it with anything. We just drink it like that. No side effects. If you drink the original one. We use it for fever, convulsion. We use it to pursue, winch, and all the rest. It's working now because when you apply the crude oil, you will not see the symptom again.
Investigations have revealed that crude oil not only has toxic components, but it's highly carcinogenic. But several families throw cautions to the wind about possible harmful effects and consume large doses of crude oil.
That had been the orientation. That's what they thought they made people to believe, that if you rub crude oil, it will remove skin rashes. You put it in your house, you can put it in a bottle and hang it on the door frame, or you keep it somewhere in your house, or you sprinkle it and then it will chase away evil spirits from your house. And that had been a general practice. So if you allow it to be touching your body, you are likely to suffer from cancer or from you will have some respiratory problems.
Apart from assertions that it cures ailments, many Ogonis say it is potent in driving away evil spirits.
Anything concerned for crude oil is not good for a human beings to then to rub for the body.
The people need to be more enlightened because they may be causing more harm to themselves than good.
To add to the woes, there is proliferation of illegal refineries in the region. These have further caused devastation of the ecosystem. Deep in the bush and very late at night, that is when the refining business thrives. They know it is a dangerous venture, but many remain undaunted. Since discovering how lucrative oil bunkering is, many local youths have now thrown caution to the winds and embarked on the very dangerous business of setting up illegal refineries, taking their destinies in their hands.
And the danger involved, but we don't have anything doing. Well, this is on their way to survive in this environment because there is no government support we have in this area. There is no company, there is nothing we use and survive. When we get this oil, instead of us to die in this way, we process to do this cooking. Sometimes we can make 2-3 million naira a day. Depends on the level of your pot.
In fact, when I see the houses some of them build, I regret going to school. I don't even know what I'm doing with my PhD. I cannot measure myself in terms of economy with those class of people. I can't.
For many, this is the only option of survival left for them.
Remember, our people now know that, look, oh, hey, you are sitting on Central Bank and you're broke. They never knew that before. Now they know. Some of them are wanting to physically dig and collect the money from the bank there.
Following consistent agitations from the Ogoni communities and civil society organizations, the Nigerian government decided to take action. In 2010, the government commissioned the United Nations Environment Programme to undertake an environmental assessment of Ogoni land. The United Nations Environment Programme found that because of oil spills, gas flares, and waste discharge, the alluvial soil of the Niger Delta is no longer viable for agriculture. Because there is still no alternative to farming, farmers continue to cultivate vegetables and crops on polluted soils. And this has very adverse implications for food safety in the area and the entire food value chain within Ogoni land and the wider Niger Delta. Further, in many areas which initially seemed to be unaffected, groundwater was subsequently found to be contaminated, such as the cancer-causing chemical benzene.
I feel like something like oil spill was inside the water, like something salty also is there in the water.
The difference is that this one not the smell, and this one the smell. I don't know whether they are inside the pipe. Now they cause the smell with the smell. So now this one where they use drinking and everything. And all this one they use to bath, like that.
Communities affected by the decades of oil spills continue to live amongst severe contamination, as oil continues to spill from aging pipelines crisscrossing the region, as well as through illegal artisanal and crude oil bunkering activities.
We believe very strongly that the death rate in this place is actually caused by some exposure to free radicals from crude oil. Like in this family, for example, my late wife was working at the health center, a medical facility here. She initially suffered asthma, and then that was cured, and later on she developed cancer, and she died eventually of cancer. My elder brother was a surveillance guard on the manifold there, and then he stayed there for some years. He developed asthma, and he died of asthma. My father also was a surveillance guard there, and then he developed asthma and died of asthma. There have been no deliberate study to actually tie these sicknesses to this thing. But with my knowledge about what this causes, I assume very strongly that their exposure, long-term exposure to that kind of environment may have been responsible for what they suffered, and that led to their eventual death.
In a landmark study published in 2011, the United Nations Environment Programme concluded that Shell had persistently failed to adopt appropriate remediation technologies to effectively clean up oil pollution for which they were responsible.
People are dying anyhow. Of course, everybody attributes to voodoo. Every death in Africa is voodoo. So we never knew that. Yes, it's voodoo. It's pollution voodoo. We never know that our whole system is being polluted. Even everything we are eating is polluted. And I feel so sad for my children and for the younger ones.
As a result of this pollution, hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children have been exposed to a sustained assault on their basic rights to uncontaminated food and water, good health, and safe working environments.
When the UNEP came and brought their report out in 2011, one would have thought that the government of the day at that time would immediately do something. Nothing was done. Even when we had our own son from the Niger Delta as the head of state, nothing was done.
The United Nations Environment Programme report proposed, for example, the setting up of $1 billion fund to start the remediation of Ogoniland. It has been estimated that the restoration of the contaminated soils and water will take between 25 and 30 years.
There is variation in the UNEP report. So there should be a thorough study, reassessment of the report, considering the present day circumstance.
Currently, the UNEP report is the only scientific report relating to the Ogoni environment. And the recommendations are so good to the point that if it is implemented to the letter, it will definitely improve our environmental condition. And that is why we keep referring to the UNEP report. Again, we agree that between 2011 and today, the environment must have suffered more, okay? But the recommendations, the report still remain the only scientific report that we have.
The Nigerian government has taken its first steps in remedying the situation by setting up the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP.
HYPREP is a project of the federal government of Nigeria. Came out of the initial report of UNEP in Ogoniland after an assessment that was carried out between 2009 and 2011. A report submitted to the federal government in 2011 and a set of recommendations made for the government, for the people, for the IOCs and other stakeholders. So HYPREP set up to implement the report on Ogoniland to the letter. And I'm glad to announce at this point that HYPREP, having gone through a series of scoping and assessment delineation in the communities, we have now introduced 16 companies across the 4 local governments carrying out remediation on site as of today.
HYPREP has awarded contracts for the cleanup of Ogoniland to 21 firms. These 21 contractors are to ensure the cleanup of oil-impacted sites in Ogoniland and address widespread contamination of soil and water in the region.
When they talk about cleanup, even me, erroneously, I thought that the appointment of the project coordinator, that the next morning machine will move to site. But no, it wasn't to be so, because they now have to train some young Ogoni people with master's degree in environmental sciences. They went to the site to pick up some aspect of the sand for soil tests and analysis to know where we are and the level of pollution that is in the place. It was after that they were able to now, come up with advertisement for bids, that people should come and bid for remediation of sites and water.
Shell, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), and other oil companies, in conjunction with the federal government, have given $180 million to the Ogoni Trust Fund, set up by the HYPREP, which is a welcome step.
They have actually entered into some communities, hoping to commence work. The paramount rulers are not aware, the youth are not aware, the people are not aware. So we see it as a calculated attempt to undermine the integrity of the people of the Ogoni people. And we also see that as a flaw. That when there may be a reaction, the government will catch on that and decide to say that the place is unhospitable, the place is not conducive for them to carry on their job.
We have presented and we have requested what we want, but we have been assured by the project coordinator that our request is also built into the cleanup package. It's not yet. They have not started. They came and paid a courtesy call to us, and they told us that most of the demands that we are asking for is in the package, is in the contract. I do follow up. I understand everything that goes on. The project coordinator is a friend, is a colleague, and I ask so many questions. And because of my positions in this whole thing, I'm privy to most of the information and what is going on than most other paramount rulers, because I'm involved. But I'm not taking anything for granted that what they told me is going to take place until the job comes and its performance is there and all what they told us actually happened. Then I can say categorically or authoritatively. But right now, I'm based on the information given to me.
They never call me. What thing I see, they just come and impose on me, which they never call me to anywhere. I was surprised. Well, that because if you want to call see person, you must call the person that I'm coming. I think, are you understood? But before he call me, I tell him say I take it, make him come here. But they are not coming. They are just impose. Even I even not even aware of them that they are coming for that day. So I don't know whether they are high pleb or anywhere they come. I don't know. Because if they are calling me for, then they say they are high pleb. No person can reach me. What I see, because if they reach me, I could make a tank clear for around the whole community to enlighten people that we have a guest that is coming to my own community, but nothing like that.
The communication linkage between HYPREP and the people is so poor. And because of that, the people, particularly the rural dwellers, they are in the dark about what is happening. Now they are not involved. They are not participating. And the people feel that they have been excluded from the entire process. And as a result of that, anger has risen in the area. Because HYPREP has been unable to manage that information flow between them and the communities.
The HYPREP, I don't know them, but there are some people came into this community before as UN. It's people I know that they came to this community. I don't know HYPREP. They talk about. So these people that they came in now, I don't understand, because before you come in something like that, you must do what those people have been talking about. The best thing, we need those people first. It's what I can't, that's my mind. I don't think, but it's the mind of people.
I don't think there is a grassroots mobilization or enlightenment on the cleanup. There may be different perceptions about the cleanup. And so that is why I'm saying that the entire process is hijacked and politicized by government to suit their purpose of not doing it, because I'm not seeing the readiness on the part of government to do it. There is no proper sensitization and there is no proper enlightenment of the the Ogoni people.
Communication is key, most especially when it is coming from HYPREP and to the people. Without information, people won't know what you're doing. So if they are not communicating properly, people will keep looking at it as just a normal white elephant by the government.
We have been able to create awareness in communities, particularly to ensure that women actually have information and knowledge about what the cleanup is all about what to expect from HYPREP. Because a lot of community members think that the cleanup has to do with HYPREP bringing government money to pay compensation to community members. So we have created that awareness to contribute to managing the expectation of community members and also to let them know what the cleanup entails. But we know a lot of communities are tense because community members are complaining that they don't know what is actually happening in HYPREP. I understand the challenge that HYPREP might not be able to go from one community to the other in Ogoni. But we have 4 kingdoms in Ogoni. And HYPREP has also provided information that they are doing their best to ensure that they provide information about what is going on, the demonstration sites, the health checks, creation of awareness about what is going on, and also training of women on skills and livelihood.
So the bulk of technical work we've been doing in HYPREP are actually provided by the Ogoni scientists in our team. And we continue to want to engage more with the communities.
This lack of knowledge has caused some of them to make demands that may be beyond HYPREP's scope of work or mandate.
We expect both HYPREP and UNEP to give us adequate compensation, employ the members of our home. Me, I have children. The least one is 13 years old now.
I expect HYPREP to pay me adequate compensation and to employ me, empower me. At least as I'm here now, I have finished pipeline welder, having certificate, but I don't have job.
Make it honor, take my children for work. Give me compensation for me.
As they are coming for the cleanup, what are the compensation that they can compensate us?
Yeah, that's what our community engagement process is all about. It's about talking to them because a lot of these things are born out of ignorance and also misinformation. So we try as much as possible to engage and let them know where we are.
The United Nations Environment Programme has also called for emergency action to ensure that the people of Ogoniland have access to clean water. In the community of Ekbangbala Agbi, for example, people have to drink water which contains benzene 900 times above what the World Health Organization considers to be safe for drinking water.
As soon as you start pumping the water, you start perceiving hydrocarbon smell. And the smell is so offensive that you can't even use it to get close to your nose, let alone cooking or doing any meaningful thing with it. But what we will do, we don't have any option other than to adapt to it, pump it and leave it for some days, like 1 or 2 weeks, the smell will subside. Then we'll start using it for domestic use. I go out to work in Port Harcourt, I make sure I buy water, steady water from Port Harcourt to drink. In fact, there is no reason for me, I have no reason to drink it, no matter how it is.
The cleanup of Ogoniland requires sustained scientific and financial commitments to restore the Ogoni environment.
UNEP made very specific recommendations, and those we are dealing with to the letter. Now, the government proceeded beyond the UNEP recommendation to add livelihood, where we are training people, giving them new skills. That wasn't recommended by UNEP. It's the federal government of Nigeria that added that bit. So, as much as people are asking for more, we are also doing more within limited resources. So yes, initially we may not have as much Ogoni companies participating, but the intent is to build the capacity of the local companies so that going forward, more and more of the local companies would have had the capacity and will participate in the subsequent phases of the project.
The independence of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project is critical to their success. Their independence would be demonstrated by quick access to funds without bureaucracy.
High prep is good, but the sustainability is what our concern is. We think that if it was just a department in the Federal Ministry of Environment, it would have been more sustainable. But now that we have it as a project, we could also make it sustainable by having it been established by a force of law, in which case it would be a first-line charge organization, like the way the NDDC operates. It doesn't need for us to plead with the operators to contribute their part of the funding for it to operate. It will become a responsibility of government to ensure that the funds required for High Prep to operate is being released and at the appropriate time.
Also critical to an effective contaminated land remediation is waste management. The United Nations Environment Programme recommended an integrated contamination soil management center for purposes of waste management. However, the infrastructure is yet to be built.
UNEP is an international organization, so we did not expect anything short of best practice from their recommendation. So they recommended that there will be need for an integrated contaminated soil management center. And what that center would have done is to manage all waste, hazardous waste, not just waste, they are not domestic waste. They are hazardous waste that will accrue or arise from the process of the cleanup or remediation. Okay? But we do not have that structure on ground. And it is worrisome because what that means is that contractors will be prone to dumping waste wherever they like or where they have the ease to do so, which means that we are going to be digging up the waste from somewhere and polluting another part of the environment. That's something that Ogonis are very, very worried about because individual contractors cannot manage their waste in different ways. There is even no structure for waste management. And so even if you say that individual organizations or individual contractors will manage their waste, we do not have that structure for doing that. So that's one of the challenges that we have.
A foundation was laid for the Center for Excellence, but it is yet to be completed despite the fact that the United Nations Environment Programme envisaged Ogoni land to be a citadel of environmental remediation studies.
The Center of Excellence that was supposed to be built, we are not seeing it. And the world is hearing that UNEP report has Ogoni cleanup has commenced. Funny to hear that. And so we don't see sincerity on the part of the government.
To achieve proper cleanup, repollution and artisanal refining activities must be addressed.
We do not want the soap opera thing with the Ogoni cleanup. It's not 2 weeks, the cleanup is in the news. The next time we hear about it is when something very major happens in the next 5 months. We need a consistent episode of the happenings in Ogoni land.
The United Nations Environment Programme study recommended certain emergency measures and suggested they be addressed urgently. One of such is that everyone who has consumed contaminated water should undergo a comprehensive physical examination carried out by medical staff who have expert knowledge of the damage which the consumption of hydrocarbons can cause.
The level of devastation that we have in Ogoni today is 100 times what UNEP saw when they raised the alarm. And then if it takes this number of years before we want to begin to attend to it, UNEP has projected 25 to 30 years before the environment can be restored. So it means that the present generation of Ogoni people will not live to see the environment restored. Why do I have to say so? UNEP has also said that every person in the present Ogoni now, the generation of this current generation of Ogoni people, are living with health effects as a result of exposure to hydrocarbon either in the air, or maybe in the water, or maybe in the food they are taking. So it presents a very bleak feature for the Ogoni people. That's why it should have been seen as an emergency situation.
Nevertheless, the people have their demands.
And each of these communities has their peculiar needs. So it can be uniform based on the circumstance they find themselves. Though we have a conventional effect of what has happened that prompted the cleanup, but there are peculiar circumstances, peculiar effects. And so conditions that may be that each community may present may vary slightly. It may slightly vary.
We have requested the people should be empowered. The youth, the women, and everybody should be considered. Medically, because of the presence of these pollutions, have caused a lot of sicknesses.
My father's palace was destroyed. I don't hear me. So I want that before this world comments, they should build a palace, because that is the cause of those problems. Because you cannot just come to a community. When you come here, you sit down for a house, and the leader of that community does not have a palace. I talk of roads, lights, waters, medical care.
So there have been little challenges after the other. So it's difficult to say, where do you see Ogoni women in 5 years? Because we also know the challenges of women. That is why we are actually advocating that all the governing bodies, the governing structures at the level of the communities, that women must be part of it. And women should have ideas and information of the processes, and they should be part of it. Because if they are not part of the decision-making processes, they cannot contribute to how the implementation will affect them.
When you want them to come and develop the area, you will hear difficult terrain, but when they are taking the oil, you won't hear difficult terrain. No matter how terrible they will go and take the oil.
Experts and traditional rulers want monitoring to be made a key part of the monitoring process.
The key performance indicators, we need to have communities, high prep, and environmental professionals on the same table to decide a marking scheme for high prep's work. So in 2 years, what do we hope to achieve in terms of environment? What do we hope to achieve in terms of economic empowerment? What do we hope to achieve in terms of livelihood restoration? What do we need to create different packages for assessing high prep's success.
All that was recommended in the UNEP report should be fully implemented to the ladder. And there should be an auditing of the activities of the personnel of high prep. They should audit the activities of high prep to see whether it is according to what they are supposed to do.
With all these misgivings, will the people allow the cleanup to take place?
Can't allow them to clean the place because we are the landlord. We get the oil. By the end of the day, it's not today. We suffer for this oil for a long time. When the SPC have been coming here and work, and they don't consider the landlord, and when we discover this refining, we come benefited, build houses, buy car, do our needs, and marry a wife, keep comfortable in life.
It is a source of livelihood to those who are participating in that activity. It won't be easy for them to say they are going to leave it, they are not going to do it again, when there is no alternative. And that is why we have advised that for you to effectively discourage that activity, certainly there must have to be alternatives.
If they come in and they pass through a right procedure, not backyard business, not coming with influence of maybe politicians, and they come in here, we'll allow them.
I will not stop their cleanup, except them pay me while. For instance, they are saying they are paying you 10,000 a day. At least when you arrive, then give you 5,000 a day. It's part of the wayo. When they play, I will stop their job now. Say then more could talk with we've been talked before.
What I was telling the Ogoni people that let's not just assume or disturb the process, because by disturbing the process, we might not know exactly what we're there for. So let's give chance a time and see if what we have been told is actually, if it's not. Ogoni people have known that there are people who ask for their right, and we ask non-violently, and we have been continuous doing that, and we have succeeded. The most part of the struggles so far in Nigeria, because we have been very non-violent and we have been consistently. So I know if they are deceiving us, at the end of the day, we will continue our struggle and we will get what's due to the Ogoni people.
UNEP said this was going to go on 25 to 30 years, and this is only the first 1 year plus of implementation, and we've achieved this much. We believe this year we will close out the site we've started and we'll add more sites. We'll also go ahead to do the restoration aspect of it, which is revegetation, putting back the plants and the animals and the aquatic life that are in the sites where we've remediated. those are the activities of HYPREP for now. Sensitization is continuous. We continue to do that. But the important thing to add is that for us to get where we are, we have carried out 3 simultaneous activities that led us here. The technical activities in the field, which are the scientific activities. We've carried out the compliance activities that has to do with complying with the procurement laws of Nigeria, and also the community consultation processes. It is the result of all of these 3 that got us to the point where we are now able to deploy the companies to site.
If the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project fails to engage meaningfully with the communities of the Ogoni region and does not carry out the work it has been tasked with, the potential for unrest is real.